Hey, my name is Sean. Welcome to Echoes in Eternity Bourbon. You ready to go on a journey today?
May the blessings of elves, men, and all free folk go with
So, a few things here. First, Miles Bourbon Traveler, thank you so very much. I had an opportunity to meet with him earlier this year, or I should say late last year, before Christmas time. We got to go hang out at the Mistress. Absolutely wonderful guy. We got to just sit around and literally that's all we did for like an hour was go through the store and just talk life, talk bourbon, and had an amazing time. And such an amazing guy. And we get some samples traded out. We talk about things, and he has something here that I'm excited about trying. But he did get me two wonderful bottles. One was an Old Forester barrel strength. Anyone that's watched the channel for any period of time knows, big fan of the Old Forester barrel strength stuff. And they're 100 proof, man. It was one of them was in my top 10 for last year. Fantastic stuff. But there was a new whiskey that's come out, and this is the Traveler's whiskey, and this is from Chris Stapleton and Buffalo Trace. And so he's like, "Hey, this is dropping at my store. Are you interested?" I'm like, "Heck yeah!" So we're able to work something out. He got me the Travelers. He got me this Old Forester. Thank you very much. Um, Looking forward to cracking this in the future. Got this one cracked open for today. I think it actually kind of coincides with something that it's a little bit neat to it. And if anyone's a football fan, and I'm a huge football fan, we realize that the college landscape changed yesterday. I'm a huge Auburn football fan, but I would be ignorant if I didn't say how amazing a coach Nick Saban was. And retiring yesterday, I know that that's it's going to hurt a lot of people's hearts. It's going to change the landscape of things. But at the end of the review, I do have an interesting story about Nick Saban that you may be interested in. So if you're interested in a neat story about Nick Saban from an Auburn fan of all things, hang on at the end of the video and let me know your thoughts on that. Um, so got the Old Forester getting ready to check out here. Got to head over to the pile of things I must try. 1792 bottle and bond store pick when 1792 members, growing and getting there quick. Excited about that. Um, so far for the 2000 1 liter Buffalo Trace coming up, and then also the Knob Creek Longhorn, which is the Longhorn exclusive Knob Creek. And then there was another donation yesterday. So there's been two donations put in, one from David Cook, and then another one yesterday from Mark Gale. So I've got a good idea what I'm going to get for the one from David Cook. We're just waiting on that opportunity. The next one I said is Mark Gale sent in something, and he's got a bottle that he really liked. I'll be picking that up soon and getting it up here for the 2000. But let's get into this Traveler whiskey. So Buffalo Trace can be very polarizing. Their BTAC stuff, it's amazing. I absolutely love it. So they do some other really good stuff, down that line. But this Traveler is a celebrity whiskey. It's Chris Stapleton. I love Chris Stapleton. I think he does an amazing job as a singer. I think his songs have great depth. He's got incredible vocal range. I am super impressed by him. But then he's collaborated with Buffalo Trace to turn out this whiskey. And it's a 90 proofer, which may be really good for someone that's a beginner. At the price point that I got this at was right at $40, $39.99, I think. So that's not, and I would tell anyone that's beginning into bourbons or whiskeys, probably start a little bit lower and then work your way up as you really understand yourself. But that's not a bad price, but it just depends on the kind of the juice in the glass. The thing that I found interesting, and I learned this from Harry out there at the bottle shop yesterday, is Chris Stapleton doesn't drink. He gave up drinking years back, and I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He realized that it became a part of his life that he didn't really need to have, and he said, I'm going to step away from that, and he took care of his business, and he's happy that way, and I have absolutely no problem with that. And I would actually tell people that I know that when I have real rough times in my life, I step away because I don't want to lean into something. I enjoy drinking when I'm happy, and generally I'm pretty happy. So, I try to stay away from it if I'm going through a rough patch with maybe a lot of issues in my personal life and stuff, family stuff and things like that. I'll tend to step back. But let's see what this has got. I'm interested to find out what a celebrity whiskey has to offer from someone that doesn't drink. So let's see what we got here. Looking at this, it's got a real nice, kind of a high yellow color. Um, that's almost like a real pretty pre-sunset color on there. When the sun is getting that deep yellow color, it coats the glass nice and evenly, and you're starting to get some nice legs kind of work their way down on that. It's only a 90 proofer, and in those that know, I tend to like higher proof stuff. But if you're just getting into bourbon, or if it's some super, it'd be great for you at that 80 to 90 proof point. Or if you just have something that's really flavorful, I don't mind if it's lower proof as long as I get good flavor out of it. So you're getting some of the traditional what you would get out of a whiskey. I'm getting some corn in here. I'm getting a little bit of a bit of an oak, which is nice on the nose. It's more powerful oak. It's actually got some really nice viscosity because the legs are just starting to work their way down on that. Um, Getting a little bit of a brown sugar caramel type of thing going on there. Trying to figure out what that is. I don't know what the mash bill is on this, but I'm getting a little bit of an herbal note on this too. Let's give it a taste, see what we got. So it's very smooth. It's very mellow. It's got a little interesting finish on the back. That kind of herbal thing that I got on the nose is kind of coming back through the back part of the palate on it. It's got a nice sweet flavor to it, but there is just something on the back of this. It's interesting. I kind of really like it a little bit. Like I said, it's kind of an herbal note and get a little bit of funk there on the back. You get a little bit of that, and it's not super strong, so don't think I'm bashing it on this, but you can tell that's a little bit young, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean it's a 90 proofer. Maybe the price point's a little bit high on it, I would say. But a 90 proof, it's a nice sipper. It's not extraordinary in any of the flavors to it. It's got kind of a short to a medium finish, which you kind of expect out of maybe a younger whiskey. It's not super harsh at all. At the price point of $40, I would probably expect this to be a little bit less. I mean, I'm neat to have it on my bar. Big Chris Stapleton fan. I think it's a solid pour, but it's nothing that I would have to rush out and grab another one of. I'm interested if you've had some of this, what your thoughts are on the Traveler whiskey. No, I just think it's a solid whiskey. I mean, it gives you a little bit extra on the back, which you maybe not see on some less expensive whiskeys. But it's nothing that's going to holler at me to say, hey, I need to go run out and buy another bottle. Good whiskey, a little bit high on the price point. Like I said, for me, I like higher proof stuff, so it's nothing I'm going to run out and say I need to have on my bar. You get the nice flavors, you get a little bit on the back part of the palate, and then it kind of dissipates. But that's what you would kind of expect out of a 90 proof, kind of a younger whiskey. So neat entry point for this. I'd be interested to see in the future if they're going to do something maybe with some older barrels, some single barrels, and things like that, because then maybe that juice will get a little more interesting. So not bad. So I promised you a Nick Saban story, and I'm a diehard Auburn fan, but that doesn't mean that I don't want other teams to do well. I think that Nick Saban's teams are tough, they're well prepared, but they also bring out the best in their opponents. And some of the best games I can ever remember are between Auburn and Alabama. And it's because those Auburn teams realize if you need to bring your A game, and you're going to have to do something special to beat Alabama. We're not talking about 4th and 31 this year. I'm just letting you know that right now. But the story, local church here, local kid, went to a local high school, plays offensive line, becomes a walk-on at Alabama. Wins a national championship at Alabama. He's going into his junior year there. Nick Saban calls him into the office, and this is the thing that I appreciate the most about this story. Nick Saban calls him into the office and says, hey, you've got some playing time the last couple of years, but you're going to have an opportunity this year for a lot of major playing time. We are short-staffed on the offensive line this year. I know that you'll be you'll be starting and probably getting a lot of playing time this year. He says, but I have to be honest with you. And this young man was on a career path for pre-med at Alabama at the time. He says, your future isn't in the NFL. He says, I want you to understand that. He says, you'll be a good offensive lineman here, but that's where it's going to end. He said, your future actually is going to be in medicine. And this young man took it to heart, and he is a doctor today. I'm very proud of this young man. Like I said, he's been a member of my church as long as I've been there. His family's, generational at the church there. He's a local kid. But he took that advice, and he's now a doctor. He ended up stepping away from football at Alabama after that conversation so he could focus on his studies. And he's turned his life into a whole different direction. Now, not to say he couldn't have done both of those things, but I think Saban at that point was looking at what's best for that young man's future. And he said that, here's the best path for you. He could have been selfish and not said a thing and worked him to death and said, oh, hope your studies coming along with what we're doing at the program. But he looked at it a holistic view and said, as a person, here's where I see your true value in the world. And here's where I see where you're going to succeed. And instead of being selfish and saying, here's what's best for me as a coach and here's what's best for this team, he looked out for that individual. I think that says a lot about Nick Saban. So, as an Auburn fan, would I like to celebrate the fact that he's retired today? Of course. I always tease my friends, oh, what's going to happen when he retires? But I'm also going to miss the level of competition that he brings from other schools. And I'm going to miss just that one story. So I know that he's probably had those conversations with multiple other student athletes. And I think that's the thing I respect about him most. But work day, I hope that your work day is going by fast if you're working. I hope your off time is going by slow if you're just enjoying time with family, friends, for yourself. But most importantly, cheers, happy retirement, Nick Saban, and God bless.